Good morning, everyone. The June 12th, 2020 virtual meeting of the Anne Arundel County Council is now in session. Today, we will wrap up deliberations on the FY21 proposed budget for Anne Arundel County and vote finally on all of the budget bills. Madam Secretary, please call the roll.
Ms. Fiedler?
Present.
Ms. Rodvian?
Present.
Ms. Hare?
Present.
Ms. Lacy?
Present.
Mr. Volke?
Here.
Mr. Persky? Mr. Persky? Mr. Persky is on screen, but appears to be having audio issues.
Here he is.
Oh, okay. Ms. Picard?
Here.
Madam Auditor?
Present.
Legislative Counsel, Ms. Hewitt?
Present.
Madam Chair, all council is present.
Thank you. Please pause for the invocation. Ms. Hare will lead this morning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let us be thankful for this day that we have been given, for its blessings, its opportunities, its challenges. May we appreciate and use each day that comes to us to the best of our abilities through collaboration and kindness. Let us seek strength and guidance for each day's duties and problems and be challenged to give our best always.
Thank you. Ms. Fiedler will now lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, please read the Open Meetings Act statement.
The county attorney has asked that I read the following statement. The Maryland Opens Meeting Act, a state law, requires public meetings to be open to the public and to be held in places reasonably accessible to individuals who would like to attend these meetings. General Provisions, Article Section 3102C. The virtual format of this meeting of the County Council is due to the COVID-19 emergency and is necessary in light of the serious health risks associated with public gatherings, as well as the governor's various executive orders limiting public gatherings. While a virtual meeting of this type was not envisioned by the Open Meetings Act, steps have been taken to ensure that this virtual meeting includes alternate accessibility features that the Open Meetings Act Compliance Board and the courts have reviewed and approved, such as having a call-in phone number that allows anyone with a telephone to call and listen to the meeting, broadcasting the meetings with video and audio on cable TV and on the web, and allowing written public comments to the legislation be filed with the clerk and considered by the council. The County Office of Law has opined that the public access provided by this technology makes this virtual meeting reasonably accessible to the public and therefore complies with the Open Meetings Act.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, please read the ethics statement.
The Ethics Commission has asked that I advise you that under certain circumstances, members of the public may qualify as lobbyists when they testify before the County Council. If so, the law requires that certain information be filed with the Ethics Commission. The chairman of the Ethics Commission has asked that those who wish to testify in any form review the general information on lobbying sheet located on the ethics website under forms and publications. If there are any questions about lobbying requirements, please contact the Ethics Commission at 410-222-4413.
Thank you. Because this is a virtual meeting, we cannot provide reasonable seating facilities for the news media or the public, and we cannot be physically located in Annapolis, the county seat. Therefore, may I have a motion to suspend rules 3-103, 3-105, and 3-106?
Lacy, so moved.
May I have a second?
Persky, so moved.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll on the motion to suspend rules 3-103, 3-105, and 3-106.
Ms. Fiedler?
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian?
Aye.
Ms. Hare?
Aye.
Ms. Lacy?
Aye.
Mr. Volke?
Nay.
Mr. Persky? And we appear to have lost Mr. Persky. Ms. Pickard,
Aye.
5 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative, 1 absent.
Aye.
6 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative. The motion to suspend rules 3-103, 3-105, and 3-106 is passed.
Thank you. Is there any item any council member would like to place on the agenda at this time? Seeing none, may I have a motion that the partial reading of any bill, resolution, amendment to bill or resolution, or minutes constitutes the reading of the whole?
Lacy, so moved.
May I have a second?
Rodvan, second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? The motion carries. We will now begin final deliberations on the proposed FY21 budget. Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 26-20.
Bill number 2620, an ordinance concerning annual budget and appropriation ordinance of Anne Arundel County.
May we bring in Mr. Trumbauer and Mr. Beecham at this time? Good morning. Mr. Trumbauer, you have the floor.
Good morning, Madam Chair, members of the council. I'm here with County Budget Officer Jim Beecham. I think we now have some supplemental amendments to discuss.
Well, we're going to read public testimony.
Oh, okay.
Preliminary.
We support the budget and we look forward to the public testimony.
Okay, great. Are there any preliminary questions from the council? We will now open the public hearing. Madam Secretary, do we have any testimony received from members of the public?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have had 14 submissions of written testimony, which was shared with the council and was posted on the county website.
Thank you. The public hearing on bill number 26-20 is now closed. Madam Secretary, please read the title of bill number 26-20.
Bill number 2620, an ordinance concerning annual budget and appropriation ordinance of Anne Arundel County.
Is there any further discussion? Mr. Volke.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nathan Volke, District 3. Mr. Trumbauer, Mr. Beecham, I wanted to clarify something with you. We had a lot of debate on Tuesday about the $1,500 bonuses that are being paid to county employees. I, since that time, have done some checking, and Madam Auditor has looked some things up for me. It looks like the county executive, as well as all members of the county executive, senior staff, and all department heads are also getting that $1,500 bonus. I just wanted to confirm with you all that that was your understanding of the bonus as well.
Madam Chair, Chris Trumbauer with the County Exec's Office. So Councilman Volke, I'm sure you're aware that the county executive's salary is codified just like you are as an elected official, so he does not receive any bonus. But the rest of the non-representatives do get the one-time pay that is in the budget. So that includes everyone from department heads down to administrative folks. It runs the whole gamut. That's the reason that the county executive felt strongly that rather than a percentage COLA or something else, that this would be a static amount so that it would have more of a beneficial effect for those on the lowest part of the pay scale.
Okay, and just to follow up, Nathan Volke, District 3 again. Madam Auditor, I just wanted to ask you, because you and I had gone back and forth about this, is it your understanding that the county executive under this budget is getting the $1,500 bonus, or is it incorrect?
County Auditor Susan Smith. I do know that all non-representatives get it. That includes exempt positions. I will specifically look up that if that's like me to do. This is the which position is this?
The county executive.
County executive. Okay.
Mr. Beecham. You're muted, sir. Did we lose Mr. Beecham?
Madam Chair, it's Chris Trumbauer with the County Exec's Office. I don't believe his audio is working at this present time, but we can get back to you after the auditor has a chance to respond to Councilman Volke's question.
Hello.
I can hear you now, Mr. Beecham.
Thank you, ma'am. Audio is fixed. I was going to say that all non-represented positions were budgeted, but personnel will determine who gets paid.
Oops, sorry.
Madam Auditor.
Sorry. So the county exec is on the list of the people included in the bonus amount.
But as we've determined, like council members, his pay cannot be increased or decreased during his term, so that will not be happening. Mr. Volke.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I did not see during the budget deliberations on Tuesday when the amendments were presented, any amendment that would have stripped the $1,500 from the county executive, similar to what we did for ourselves to ensure there was a correction in the budget. Does the administration expect to be putting forth such an amendment?
Mr. Trumbauer.
Madam Chair, Councilman, if you want to put an amendment in that reduces the non-rep pay by $1,500, we will wholeheartedly support it. But what really is going to happen here, the county executive is not getting that one-time pay. He's not legally enabled to get that one-time pay, so that will just be unspent. And the calculation of the total pay package for the non-reps was just taking all the non-rep positions and applying it to that number, 1,500. So that we'll just not spend it. If you want to reduce it by 1,500, bring an amendment and we'll support it. But to be clear, the county executive is not getting a pay raise, period.
Okay. I believe there are some amendments to be withdrawn.
Madam Chair, are you asking for me to?
So.
Okay, so my Madam Chair, Chris Trumbauer with the County Exec's Office. I am going to read the list of amendments that I believe we want to withdraw, and Mr. Beecham will kick me if I say the wrong numbers. Administration wishes to withdraw supplemental amendments number 181, 194, 202, 203, 206, 207, 208, 210, 211, 220, and 221. Receiving no kick from Mr. Beecham, I believe that is a correct accounting.
Those are the amendments I had on my list.
I'm sorry. Can you hold for 1 second? Are we sure 179? 179. May I add 179 to that list as well, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary, has that been recorded? We're good.
Yes, ma'am. My understanding is that amendment numbers 179, 181, 194, 202, 203, 206, 207, 208, 210, 220, and 221 are withdrawn. Was there also 211?
Yes.
Okay. That those are officially withdrawn by the administration.
And Madam Chair, the administration would also like to withdraw 188, 188.
All right, Madam Chair, then amendment number 188 is also officially withdrawn by the administration.
Thank you. Are there any further comments? Otherwise, I'm moving on.
I think that's it from us, Madam Chair.
Okay, good. May I have a motion to vote on amendments numbers 178 through 248 as a block, excluding amendments 179, 181, 188, 194, 202, 203, 206, 207, 208, 210, 211, 220, and 221.
Lacy, so moved.
May I have a second?
Councilman Persky, second.
Thank you, Mr. Persky. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment. Please read amendments number 178 through 248, excluding 179, 181, 188, 194.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
My apologies. First, I will call the roll on the motion.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
To take as a block amendment numbers 178 through 248, excluding numbers 179, 181, 188, 194, 202, 203, 206, 207, 208, 210, 211, 220, and 221.
Thank you.
Ms. Fiedler.
Can I just confirm that this bundling puts together all the capital and operating amendments into one?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Fiedler?
Nay.
Ms. Rodvian?
Aye.
Ms. Hare?
Nay.
Ms. Lacy?
Aye.
Mr. Volkey?
Nay.
Mr. Persky?
Aye.
Ms. Pickard?
Aye.
4 in the affirmative, 3 in the negative. The motion to take amendment numbers 178 through 248, excluding numbers 179, 181, 188, 194, 202, 203, 206, 207, 208, 210, 211, 220, and 221 is passed.
Madam Secretary, please read amendments number 178 through 248 as accepting amendments number 179, 181, 188, 194, 202, 203, 206, 207, 208, 210, 211, 220, and 221.
Amendment number 178 reduces personal services by $163,700 for the transfer of a facilities maintenance manager position from the Office of Central Services to the Police Department, and for the transfer of temporary beautification manager position from the Office of Central Services to the Chief Administrative Office. Reduces contractual services by $22,000 for operating equipment services based on expenditure history plus inflation. Reduces supplies and materials by $129,000 for building supplies based on expenditure history plus inflation and planned spending in fiscal year 21, and also by $35,000 for supplies related to the transfer of a temporary beautification manager position from the Office of Central Services to the Chief Administrative Officer. Amendment number 180. Corrects the title for the Office of Information Technology, reduces contractual services by $22,000 for Centrex phone service based on expenditure history. Apologies. Amendment number 182. Increases personal services by $136,500 due to statutory and corrective salary increases and turnover reduction. Amendment number 183. Increases personal services by $73,700, which is a net effect of reducing by $259,000 for salaries and wages to correct a duplicative salary increase, increasing by $215,600 for the pension contribution based on the actuarial recommendation, and increasing by $117,100 for the transfer of funds related to a facilities maintenance manager position from the Office of Central Services to the Police Department, and reduces supplies and materials by $25,500 based on expenditure history plus inflation and planned spending in fiscal year 21. Amendment number 184 increases personal services by $38,100 to provide fiscal year 2021 park ranger salary increase required by pay package. Amendment number 185. This amendment alters the personnel summaries for the Office of Finance on page 132 of the FY 2021 proposed budget by eliminating 3 senior customer service representatives and adding 3 customer service representatives. Amendment number 186. This amendment alters the personnel summaries for the Office of Budget on page 155 of the fiscal year 2021 proposed budget by eliminating 1 budget administrator and adding 1 assistant budget officer. Amendment number 187 increases the appropriation for Sell Beyond the Bay, SCBD, by $100 and increases the appropriation for Wall WID by $800. Amendment number 188 decreases contractual services by $40,000 to reflect the movement of funds from the County Executive's VLT Fund to the Office of Transportation VLT Fund. Amendment number 189. My apologies, I just read in amendment number 188, which was withdrawn. Amendment number 189 reduces grants, contribution, and other for the county executive by $40,000 and increases contractual services for the Office of Transportation by $40,000 to reflect the movement of funds from the county executive's VLT fund to the Office of Transportation VLT fund. Amendment number 190. This amendment modifies language concerning positions listed in the Office of Information Technology fiscal year 2021 proposed budget. Amendment number 191. This amendment modifies language concerning positions listed in the Office of Finance fiscal year 2021 proposed budget. Amendment number 192. Increases auxiliary and other to reflect an increase in county funds to provide a one-time pay increase to all regular faculty and staff as of July 1, 2020 in the amount of $1,500 each, and prorated for part-time regular faculty and staff. County funds for grant expenditures are not to exceed $1,274,000 and will be reimbursed to the college. Amendment 193 reduces supplies and materials by $27,000 for copy machine supplies based on expenditure history and provides for 4 new copiers, increases grants, contributions, and others by $10,100 for the AFG COVID-19 supplemental county contribution. Amendment number 195 corrects the title for the Office of Information Technology. Increases contractual services by $1,113,000, which is the net effect of reducing by $22,000 for Centrex phone service based on expenditure history and increasing by $1,135,000 due to the implementation of a body-worn camera program. Amendment number 196 increases personal services by $375,500, which is the net effect of reducing by $259,000 for salaries and wages to correct a duplicate salary increase, increasing by $215,600 for pension contribution based on the actuarial recommendation, increasing by $117,100 for the transfer of funds related to a facilities maintenance manager position from the Office of Central Services to the Police Department, and increasing by $301,800 to provide funding for positions related to implementation of a body-worn program. Reduces supplies and materials by $19,000, which is the net effect of reducing by $25,500 based on expenditure history plus inflation and planned spending in fiscal year 21, and increasing by $6,500 for supplies related to implementation of a body-worn camera program. Increases capital outlay by $67,700 to provide funding related to implementation of a body-worn camera program. Amendment number 197 increases personal services by $502,500, which is the net effect of reducing by $259,000 for salaries and wages to correct a duplicate salary increase, increasing by $215,600 for the pension contribution based on the actuarial recommendation, increasing by $117,100 for the transfer of funds related to a facilities maintenance manager position from the Office of Central Services to the Police Department, increasing by $127,000 for pay for police captains and majors to alleviate compression within the pay schedule, and increasing by $301,800 to provide funding for positions related to the implementation of a body-worn camera program. Reduces supplies and materials by $19,000, which is a net effect of reducing by $25,500 based on expenditure history plus inflation and a planned spending in fiscal year 21, and increasing by $6,500 for supplies related to implementation of a body-worn camera program. Increases capital outlay by $67,700 to provide funding related to
Madam
implementation.
Secretary?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. We have, I've been informed we have a bit of an issue with amendments 223 through 228 needing to be withdrawn. How would we accomplish that?
At this point, the motion was made and we are following that motion. I will read them in, and once we conclude, then the administration can further withdraw those amendments. That
Okay.
is what I believe that would be the proper way.
Okay, thank you.
Where was I? And now I forget which one I just read in. I think I just read in 197. Amendment number 198. Increase personnel services by $136,500 due to statutory and corrective salary increases and turnover reduction, and by $74,500 for partial year funding related to 10 positions for the implementation of police body cameras. Amendment number 199. Increase personal services by $46,600 and supplies and materials by $35,000 for the transfer of a temporary beautification manager position from Central Services to the Chief Administrative Officer. Reduces business and travel by $1,500 to remove funding for lodging related to MACO's conferences, and reduces grants, contributions, and others by $4,322,000 to reduce funding held in the contingency fund. Amendment number 200. Increases the appropriation in the Partnership for Children, Youth, and Families Special Fund by $33,200 for a Federal Department of Justice COVID-19 response grant in the Partnership for Children, Youth, and Families. Amendment number 201. Increases the appropriation in the Grants Special Revenue Fund by $1,471,300 for additional grants in the Department of Aging, Detention Center, Fire Department, Health Department, Office of the Sheriff, and Police Department. Amendment number 204. Capital budget, increase fiscal year 21 water bonds by $311,000 based on latest cost estimate. Amendment number 205. Capital budget, increase fiscal year 21 bonds by $9 million for the purchase of land associated with the fire maintenance facility capital project. Amendment number 209, capital budget, switch funding sources, reduce fiscal year 21 other Fed grants by $1,600,000 and increase fiscal year 21 general fund PAYGO by $1,600,000. Amendment number 212. Switch funding sources, reduce fiscal year 21 general fund PAYGO by $500,000 and increase fiscal year general county bonds by $500,000. Amendment number 213, capital budget, switch funding sources, reduce fiscal year 21 general county bonds by $325,000 and increase fiscal year Maryland higher education state funding by $325,000. Amendment number 214, prior council approval, reduce prior approved bonds by 32,900. Amendment number 215, capital budget, switch funding sources, reduce fiscal year 21 general county bonds by 271,000 and increase fiscal year Maryland Waterway Improvement Grant by 303,900 based on grant award. Amendment number 216, capital budget, increase fiscal year 21 general county bonds by $58,000 to better match implementation schedule and increase other state grants by $80,000 due to increased grant funding. Amendment number 217, capital program, decrease fiscal year 23 general county bonds by $589,000 to better match implementation schedule. Amendment number 218, capital budget, increase fiscal year general county bonds by $211,000 based on latest cost estimate. Amendment number 219, capital budget, increase fiscal year 21 general county bonds by $1,600,000 based on latest cost estimate. Amendment number 222, prior council approval, corrects the project name. Amendment number 223, prior council approval, reduces prior approved bonds by $90,000. Amendment number 224, prior council approval, reduces prior approved bonds by $72,000. Amendment number 225, prior council approval, reduces prior approved bonds by $190,000. Amendment number 226, prior council approval, reduces prior approved bonds by $147,000. Amendment number 227, prior council approval, reduces prior approved bonds by $36,000. Amendment number 228, prior council approval, reduces prior approved bonds by $78,000. Amendment number 229, capital program, reduces fiscal year 24 ed impact fees district 3 by $3,408,000, reduces fiscal year 25 ed impact fees district 3 by $8,680,000, and fiscal year general county bonds by $9,343,000, reduces fiscal year 23 general county bonds by $13,002,000, and fiscal year 26 interagency committee by $3,362,000, increases fiscal year 25 ed impact fees district 3 by $3,408,000, increases fiscal year 26 ed impact fees district 3 by $8,680,000, and FY 26 general county bonds by $9,343,000. Amendment number 230, capital program, makes a technical correction to the capital budget and program for Dragon renovation and addition. Amendment number 231, capital program, makes a technical correction to the capital budget and program to change the replacement cycle from 15 years to 7 through 10 years in the fire hydrant rehabilitation project. Amendment number 232, capital budget, makes a correction to the project description regarding the Tennis Alliance. Amendment number 233, capital budget, removes qualifying language to the Woodland Beach capital project to remove the original location identified to a location that has not yet been identified. Amendment number 234, capital program, decreases fiscal year 26 general county bonds by $4 million based on revised implementation schedule. Amendment number 235, increases personal services by $39,900 to provide salaries and wages to all of the Board of Appeals members, and reduces personal services by $11,300 for salaries and wages to remove the one-time bonus payments for county council members included in error. Amendment number 236. Reduces personal services by $163,700 for the transfer of a facilities maintenance manager position from Central Services to the Police Department, and for the transfer of a temporary beautification manager position from Central Services to the Chief Administrative Office. Increases contractual services by $115,700, which is a net effect of reducing by $22,000 for operating equipment services based on expenditure history plus inflation, and increasing by $137,700 to fund the outfitting of Commerce Park for implementation of a body camera program. Reduces supplies and materials by $38,200, which is the net effect of reducing by $129,000 for building supplies based on expenditure history plus inflation and planned spending in fiscal year 21, reducing by $35,000 for supplies related to the transfer of a temporary beautification manager position from central services to the chief administrative office, and increasing by $125,800 for the build out of Commerce Park for implementation of a police body camera program. Amendment number 237. Reduces the amounts appropriated by $20,672,800 from the impact fee fund to correspond with the impact fee amounts as shown as revenue in the capital project fund. Amendment number 239. Capital program, switch funding sources, reduces fiscal year 22 general county bonds by $15 million and increases fiscal year 22 bond premium by $15 million. Amendment number 240, capital program, increases fiscal year 22 at impact fees District 1 by $750,000 and fiscal year 22 general county bonds by $3,250,000. Increases fiscal year 23 general county bonds by $17,463,000 and fiscal year 23 interagency committee by $4,248,000. Increases fiscal year 24 general county bonds by $4,952,000 and fiscal year 24 interagency committee by $6,370,000. Amendment number 241. Prior council approval, reduce prior approved bonds by $1,130,000. Amendment number 242. Capital budget, increase other funding sources by $1,130,000. Amendment number 243, prior council approval, switch funding sources, increase prior approved bonds by $73,000 and decrease high impact fee District 1 for $73,000. Amendment number 244, capital budget, increase fiscal year general county bonds by $1,700,000 for replacement and repair of information technology infrastructure for Anne Arundel Community College. Amendment number 245. Reduces grants, contributions, and other by $1,487,000 to reflect updated general fund pay-as-you-go amount. Reduces $145,000 for grant fund contribution, $130,000 to align reimbursing SDAT services in accordance with law, and for front foot assessments and tax, $15,000 based on current assessment bills. Amendment number 246, capital budget. Increases fiscal year bonds by $1,626,000 and increases fiscal year 21 other state grants by $943,500. This replaces $500,000 for grant that was not awarded for $500,000 in bonds and provides for an additional grant for $1,443,500 additional bonds of $1,126,000. Amendment number 247. Projects were inadvertently excluded from the fiscal year 21 proposed capital budget and program. These projects only have prior approved funding and do not have fiscal year 21 budget or program year funding. Amendment number 248. Projects were administratively closed June 30, 2019, and were inadvertently included in the fiscal year 21 proposed capital budget and program.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. So now we have an issue with a handful of those amendments you read in. Mr. Trumbauer?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chris Trumbauer with the County Exec's Office. First, let me commend Madam Administrator on reading all of those amendments, and personally apologize for having you read 6 that we are now going to ask to withdraw. I would ask the chair that the administration would like to withdraw amendments 223 through 228. These are all addressing dredging projects, and this was an issue that was identified by the auditor's office. We will not be submitting replacements. So I believe if you just were to withdraw these, then you could still vote on the previous motion exclusive of these. Thank you for consideration.
So with those withdrawn, may I have a motion to accept, a motion to adopt?
Point of order.
Ms. Fiedler, Ms. Volke, who wants to speak?
Well, I want to address a point of order, Madam Chair. I think that because you had a motion and because Madam Secretary read in the title of all the amendments, I think that the maker, if I'm not mistaken, on the parliamentary procedure, the maker of the motion and the seconder of the motion are going to have to withdraw it. And there's going to have to be a new motion that removes those other ones, unless this is some sort of a friendly amendment to the motion, but I'm not sure whether you can do that. I guess that would be a question for the parliamentarian.
Well, there was a motion to vote on a certain grouping of amendments as a block that was passed. And then we just read in those amendments. So can we get clarification? There's been a point of order. Ms. Fiedler?
I'll wait for the clarification on this before I ask my question. Thank you.
Ms. Lacy?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I believe I was the one who made the motion to vote on these amendments as a block. As such, I wonder if I can amend my own motion to exclude amendments 223 through 228, was it? In which case that could be seconded and moved and the overall motion would be modified and we could vote on everything else but those.
Point of order again.
Auditor?
I just want to make sure this is done correctly. Amendment number 196 is supposed to be superseded by amendment number 197, and I don't have it being withdrawn. If we vote on them at the same time, I'm not sure how that works. Just want to make sure that we do it right. 196 was not withdrawn, but 197 would have, if you had voted in order, would have replaced it, so it wouldn't have needed to be withdrawn because it would have been replaced. But if we're voting as a block, I'm not sure how that works. I don't know if we want to.
Well, how about we solve one issue first? From 223 to 228. How about we resolve how we do that first? Okay. Mr. Volke.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess this is probably a question for the Secretary because I know she's tracking along. I believe that the motion to vote on these amendments as a block was already voted on and has already been passed by this council. So I don't believe that, unless there's a reconsideration, can come up again. Is that correct, Madam Secretary?
I believe, and I will bow to Madam Parliamentarian, I believe that motion has been made and voted on. So we would need to possibly reconsider that motion and do a new one. Again, I will bow to Madam Parliamentarian.
Mr. Trumbauer has his hand raised.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chris Trumbauer, the County Exec's Office. I'm interested in finding a solution that doesn't require Joanne to have to read in all the amendments again. So that's why I think our preference would be to amend the original one. These amendments 223 through 228, they just need to be withdrawn. They're not being replaced. I will take responsibility for not including them in the original block. We didn't realize that you guys were going to package the entirety of the supplemental together, so I wasn't prepared to give the full list of everything to withdraw. So I'll take that responsibility, but I don't want to require Joanne to have to read all of these again. So since she's read them in once, my hope would be they're already in the record, and regardless of how you guys work this out, we'll end up voting on the right ones.
And I believe Madam Parliamentarian is
Ms.
ready.
Hewitt.
Yes, I think that the suggestion made by Councilwoman Lacy works. So the motion to take it as a block has been made and seconded and read in, and has the the vote on the taking them as a block has occurred.
But not on the amendments themselves.
Right, but just to take them as a block has been voted upon. So I think the motion can be reconsidered. It's still with the council. So somebody can make a motion to amend the motion to exclude the ones that Mr. Trumbauer has indicated, and then you would vote on that.
Okay. Ms. Fiedler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Can I confirm that amendments 178 through 203 relate to the operating budget, and amendments 204 through 248, excluding 223 through 228, are on the capital side?
Madam Chair.
I believe that to be correct.
Okay, with that understanding, I'd like to make a motion to amend the block voting to be a block of 178 through 203 and a block of amendments 204 through 248, excluding 223 through 228.
Second.
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and Madam Parliamentarian and I she can join in with me on this. I'm thinking that the appropriate way to do this then, there was a motion that was passed.
Yes.
And that is how we would be proceeding. I believe we now have someone asking for new motions to address this. I think we would need to reconsider the original motion and defeat it.
Correct.
Then bring in the new motion, including all the bills that need to be, excluding all the bills that need to be excluded. And if you want to do them separately, as Ms. Fiedler has asked, whether or not I need to read them in again, I don't know if we can simply say understood as previously read in. How about it, Madam Parliamentarian?
I think that's a perfect solution. Although we could take longer deciding how to get out of this quagmire than it would take to just voting on them individually. But I agree with the secretary. Thank you.
Okay, so we need to reconsider the motion that was already passed.
That is, yes, that is a two-step process. We will make a motion to reconsider, and then we will reconsider the motion.
Okay.
Point of order.
Yes, Ms. Lacy.
Can we confirm that no matter what arrangement of blocks of amendments we proceed with, any individual council member can say, you know, I vote aye on all but a certain number or nay on all but a certain number, correct?
No.
No, when we vote as a block, you have to vote the same on all those amendments. So I think let's get through rescinding the first motion, the block, and then we can talk about how we want to chunk up the amendments going forward.
So, Madam Chair, you will be requesting a motion to reconsider the vote on the prior motion.
Okay. May I have a motion to reconsider the motion to vote as a block amendments 178 through 248, excluding 181, 194, 202, 203, 206, 207, 208, 210, 211, 220, and 221.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Madam Chair, point of order.
Rod Van second.
Mr. Volke.
Who was the mover of the motion that you just had, Madam Chair?
Ms. Fiedler.
That's out of order because the motion on a reconsideration has to be made by someone on the winning side of the motion. And because it was a 4-3 vote, Ms. Fiedler cannot be the maker of the motion. The maker of the motion has to be someone who voted for the motion and is now asking to reconsider it. as does the second.
You are correct.
Okay.
My apologies for missing that.
So can we try again? May I have a motion to reconsider to take amendments number 178 through 248 as a block, excluding amendments 181, 194, 202, 203, 206, 207, 208, 210, 211, 220, and 221.
Councilwoman Rodvian, so moved.
May I have a second?
Councilman Persky, second.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll on the motion.
And just so everyone's clear, an aye vote on this will allow us to reconsider the original motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Well, I have to call the roll.
Oh,
I'm about to call the roll. Ms. Fiedler,
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian,
Aye.
Ms. Hare,
Aye.
Ms. Lacy,
Aye.
Mr. Volkey,
Aye.
Mr. Persky,
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. The motion to reconsider the motion to take amendments number 178 through 248 as a block, excluding numbers 179, 181, 188, 194, 202, 203, 206, 207, 208, 210, 211, 220, and 221 is passed.
Okay.
Now we need a motion to wait a minute. I believe now we bring back the original motion and we vote, and a nay vote will then get rid of that motion.
Right.
Okay.
So someone needs to make a motion to take amendments 178 through 248 as a block, excluding.
Madam Chairman, since
Yes.
I made the original motion, wouldn't it be appropriate for me to now amend the original motion?
Yes.
Which I could do to say, motion to hear the list that we had previously blocked, except for amendments 223 through 228.
Madam Parliamentarian, is it appropriate way to move? We've had a motion to reconsider the motion, which was passed. The reconsideration will be amending that motion.
You mean if the motion that has just been articulated were made? I think that the maker of the motion may amend the motion. So if Ms. Lacy wants to make a motion to amend her motion, I think she may do that.
Mr. Volkey.
I just wanted to agree with Ms. Schuett that it's called a secondary motion. I'm in Robert's rules, so yes.
Are you prepared to do that at this time, Ms. Lacy?
Anytime, Madam Chair. But I would add, so I move to vote on the amendments as a block with the list of numbers that I don't have written down in front of me, except for 223 through 228. And I move to waive the requirement that our Chief Administrative Officer, Madam Secretary, has to read the amendments.
I wouldn't make the second part a part of the motion. I think that later the secretary can simply say that she incorporates what she had previously read as being the one. I don't think we should vote on that part, would be my advice.
Fine with me.
Would you like to restate your motion, Ms. Lacy?
If Madam Chair deems it necessary, I move that we vote as a block on amendments 178 through 248 or whatever it was, minus the ones you've been saying, minus 223 through 228.
Councilwoman Rodvian, second the amendment to the motion. Or the secondary motion, if you prefer.
And is this a roll call vote, Madam Secretary?
Yes, Madam Chair, you would need to restate the motion that as amended by Ms. Lacy with all the numbers out loud.
Okay. Madam Secretary, hold on. Please call the roll on the motion.
I believe,
Oh, go ahead.
I don't know, I see flags up.
Oh, okay. Ms. Fiedler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Would I then, after this voting, be able to make a second motion to amend this motion? Or would the motions be over at that point?
You can ask, I believe, right now to amend the motion.
Then
Once we vote, we will have to do another reconsideration.
Okay.
I would like to amend the motion to bulk amendments 178, 203 together, and bulk separately amendments 204 through 248, excluding amendments 223 through 228.
Is that amendment acceptable to the maker of the motion?
That is acceptable to me.
Does the second concur? Which I believe was Ms. Rodvian.
That's fine.
Okay, so I'm going to, Madam Chair, I'm going to read back to you what I believe the motion as amended states.
Thank you.
We have a motion on the floor to take amendments numbers 178 through 203 as a block, excluding amendment numbers 179, 181, 188, 194, and to take amendment numbers 200 and, oh no, I apologize. Madam Chair, I believe these actually should be two separate motions. Motion to take amendments 178 through 203 as a block with the exclusions, pass that, and then a follow-up motion to take 204 through 248 as a block with the exclusions.
Okay.
Madam Parliamentarian, do you believe that would be a better way to go?
I'm at the point of thinking that a motion to erase everything we've just done and start all over again would work better, but whatever.
Unfortunately, we cannot do that. All right, so moving forward.
Miss Lacy has her flag up.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to amend the motion currently on the floor, of which I am the maker, to say that we should hear and vote upon amendments number 178 through 203, excluding whatever were the numbers between 178 through 203 as a block.
Madam Chair, therefore, if you could restate the motion. Oh, I'm sorry, second. Do you concur?
Rodvian, second.
Madam Chair, if you could then restate the motion, it is taking amendments 178 to 203 as a block, excluding 179, 181, 188, 202, and 203.
And 194.
Apologies, I missed that one.
Is there a motion to adopt?
So moved.
It's been motioned in and seconded.
So I need to read it in after you just read it in?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And okay. Are we calling the roll on this motion now?
After you read it in, you can ask me to call the roll on the motion.
We have a motion on the floor to vote as a block for amendments 178 through 203, excluding 179, 181, 194, 202, and 203.
And 188.
And 188.
All right, and I shall now call the roll. Ms. Fiedler.
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian.
Aye.
Ms. Hare,
Nay.
Ms. Lacy,
Aye.
Mr. Volkey,
Aye.
Mr. Persky,
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
6 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative. The motion to take amendments numbers 178 through 203 as a block, excluding amendment numbers 179, 181, 188, 194, 202, and 203 is passed. Now we can have a follow-up motion on the remaining amendments.
Ms. Fiedler.
I'd like to make a motion to lock together amendments 204 through 248, excluding amendments 223 through 228.
Shouldn't you vote first?
Yeah, we need to discuss the operating cuts in amendments
Oh, okay.
78 through 203, excluding the ones that have been withdrawn. So with that, would the administration like to respond?
We will need a motion to adopt, and we will state for the record if the council is agreeable. The secretary will not read the amendments back in. We will consider them as previously read.
Okay.
We can just do, you can poll the council with a vote yay or nay. All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed?
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Point of order.
Ms. Lacy.
I'm not sure why we just took a voice vote. There needed to be a motion to adopt, and that I put up my flag to make that motion. Someone please clarify.
Not a problem, and you could be right, and we should go ahead with motion to adopt.
Can I have a motion to adopt amendments 178 through 203, excluding amendments 178, 181, 188, 194, 202, and 203?
Lacy, so moved.
May I have a second?
Rodvian, second.
Now, I believe we can discuss these amendments.
I'll call the roll. Ms. Fiedler?
Is there anyone wanting to make any comment about these amendments?
Oh, I apologize, yes.
Madam Auditor, and I believe Mr. Trumbauer. Madam Auditor.
I just wanted to remind you that we have 2 amendments in the operating batch. They're both for the police department. And I'm not sure how it works. If you vote on them at the same time, 197 was supposed to supersede 196 when we went through the votes. I just want to know how to treat it because we have 2. If we don't withdraw the first one.
Well, wouldn't 197 supersede 196? So this discussion is moot.
Would it if you're voting at the same time? Yes. Okay. Then I'm good.
Yes. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're all getting our lessons in parliamentary procedure today. This is fantastic. Mr. Trumbauer, did you want to respond on behalf of the administration of these amendments?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Chris Trumbauer with the County Exec's Office. So we support these amendments. These were brought in as part of the supplemental. I believe they're laid out in the letter that we supplied to you. I will note that the several that are being withdrawn, all of them are being revised in subsequent amendments, except for 188, which was determined not to be needed. So these corrections and withdrawals are the result of the budget office working with the auditor's office since Tuesday night. If there's any specific questions about specific amendments, I'd be happy to address them.
Thank you. Ms. Hare.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jessica Hare, District 7. I'm trying to understand, and maybe I just am still, this is only year 2 for the budget and I don't get it, but a number of these operating amendments are moving positions all over the place, it seems. Can someone help me understand why we need that? What the point of it is? I think there's some even within the budget office.
Madam Chair.
Mr. Trumbauer.
Thank you. Chris Trumbauer with the County Exec's Office. So these move funding for positions. They don't move positions. There are several amendments in here. I believe it is 185, 186, 189, and 190 that clarify some of that based on the auditor's concerns. But this is budget funding for positions.
So my question is, Madam Auditor, do those address your concerns that you had with the initial positioning within the budget binder?
You're muted, Madam Auditor.
Susan Smith, County Auditor. We had a number of discussions with the budget office about positions, and I think, can you tell me which amendment you're referring to? Because it depends on the amendment.
I think Mr. Trumbauer just listed them off, 185, 186, 187, and 189, maybe it was.
Correct. Those are the ones that address classification issues.
Okay, let me just pull them up. Okay, so
if it helps clarify, this is Jessica Hare, District 7. I'm trying to understand, are we adding new positions in this, or is somebody just getting a pay raise, or what's the end game of these position changes?
So each of them are a little bit different, so I will go through them. 185 is fixing a position control issue that we brought to the attention of the budget office. They were eliminating, let me see, make sure. It's eliminating the 3 senior customers. They wanted to change 3 customer service representatives to 3 customer service representatives. And this is, that is something that needs to be done during the year. So this position change is positioning that back, I believe. Let me make sure. So that is amendment number 185. And the auditor is in agreement with that amendment. These 186 is doing the same thing for the assistant budget officer that they want to reclass as a budget administrator. That position has not been created yet. And so this is reversing the count. It has no financial impact to list that person still as an assistant budget officer as the position that he is in. 187 is not counts. When you get to amendment number 190, we also wanted them to reverse these counts, and instead the budget officer proposed modified language that's shown on the second page, which says 1 systems analyst and 1 GIS manager is proposed to be reclassified to information system managers. An occupied position will not be abolished until the position is vacated. So in this situation, instead of reversing the position to what it currently is until that reclassification can be properly handled through the year by the Office of Personnel and the Chief Administrative Officer, they chose to leave the count there and just add this comment. And amendment number 191 is the same situation. They intend to try to reclass a cashier 1 position. It's a filled position as well, to a cashier 2 position. And it says an occupied position will not be abolished until the position is vacated. And they added this comment in lieu of changing the count, which is what the auditor had recommended. They instead explained it here, but left the count as instead of listing that count as a cashier 1 position, which is what that person is currently in, they changed the count to the cashier 2 position. I think that's all of the ones that they put into amendments. If I missed an amendment, let me know.
So just one quick follow-up, Jessica Hare,
Wait,
District 7.
I'm sorry, there is one more, I think. 190, are we on 190? Does this includes 196. 196, oh no, I'm sorry, that's just adding new positions, so that's not related. That's just adding new positions that they want to add, and that's why those position count pages are there, is that they're showing the addition of positions. That does have a fiscal impact because they're adding positions for that amendment. And
Okay.
I think that, and well, 197 is the same thing, only it includes corrections to other financial information in the amendment. So the First Amendment, 196, would be replaced with the Second Amendment, 197, that is corrected. It still shows the additional positions. As does 198, that is adding new positions based on the amendment. And I believe that is all of the amendments that are in a batch that affects position, that relates to position control.
Thank you, Madam Auditor. It's my understanding through various conversations that this issue can be handled, these issues can be handled in various multiple ways, and that the way that they're being proposed in these amendments is acceptable to the Office of Law, to the Personnel Office, and to the Budget Director. May I have some confirmation on that, Mr. Beecham? Mr. Trumbauer, Mr. Beecham?
Yes, ma'am. The Office of Law, Office of Personnel, the Office of the County Executive, and the Office of the Budget have concurred in this strategy going forward.
Thank you. Mr. Volke.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to speak to these amendments because we're about to vote on them as a block. And so I just want to explain kind of the way that I'm looking at it. I don't like that all of these amendments have been so intertwined and mixed up that you can't exactly tell what you're voting on. But with that said, there is something that's very important in all of these amendments to me, which is the police body cameras. And because they are in there, and because that is an important thing to me and to my colleagues, I believe that we've called for, I'm going to be supporting these amendments. That does not mean that I like everything in there, but unlike some people who have in previous times said, well, I support 90% of what's in here, but I can't vote for it. I don't know that I'm even at 90% of what's in here, but I'm going to vote for it because there's something in there that I really do think is important. And so since I can't pull everything else out and parse it out in different little pieces and say, I'm going to vote for this, but not that, and I'm being put in a situation of we're going to vote on this as a block, I just want to make it clear why I'm going to vote for these amendments, because I support adding the police body cameras back into the budget. I think it's an important step for our community in terms of transparency and accountability. We've come out and said that very loudly, and so I will be supporting this. But I just wanted to put those reasons and that rationale on the record, as well as my displeasure with the fact that all of these amendments are so intertwined that you can't tell people, hey, I voted yes for this, but no for that. We just don't have that option given the way that these amendments were even drafted, let alone that they've now been blocked.
Ms. Fiedler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To that point, I too really am thankful that the body camera program is in the supplemental budget, but I had reached out to Madam Auditor to see if there was a way to extract from the amendments, specifically the body camera program, and it basically would create an unraveling of all previous amendments based on how we craft our amendments and how they build upon each other. Madam Auditor, do you mind just taking a moment to speak to that conversation we had earlier?
Sure. So when you draft an amendment that impacts a particular department's budget, it supersedes any previous amendments to that department's budget because one of the main line items is how much you're budgeting for that department. So you can craft an amendment any way you want, but the last amendment that is voted and approved will erase prior things that occur. So you have to draft it in such a way that you get everything that you want in there. So for those that have, for those departments that had previously adopted amendments, we roll them into this amendment because it then is saying, okay, based on, it includes everything we've previously adopted plus these new items. It is possible to draft an amendment that doesn't include those previously adopted items, but the council needs to understand if that is the case, then if that new amendment gets approved, it erases those items that were previously maybe voted in favor of. Does that make sense?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Amanda Fiedler, District 5. Yes, it does. And for that reason, I did not, excuse me, pursue that. So I will be supporting this block of amendments today because the body camera program is in there and I have spoken out and how much I support it. There are other areas within the block that I don't necessarily support, but will overall support it because of those body cameras.
Was there any more discussion on this block of amendments at this time? Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendments 178 through 203, minus 179, 181, 188, 194, 202, and 203.
Ms. Fiedler,
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian,
Aye.
Ms. Hare,
Aye.
Ms. Lacy,
Aye.
Mr. Volkey,
Aye.
Mr. Persky,
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment numbers 178 through 203, excluding 179, 181, 188, 194, 202, and 203 are adopted.
Ms. Fiedler.
Would it be appropriate at this time to make the second motion?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Thank you. I would like to make a motion to block together amendments 204 through 248, excluding 206, 207, 208, 210, 211, 220, 221, and 223 through 228.
May I have a second?
Lacy, second.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll on the amendment to vote on amendments 204 through 248, minus 206, 207, 208, 210, 211, 222, 221, and 223 through 228.
Ms. Fiedler,
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian,
Aye.
Ms. Hare,
Aye.
Ms. Lacy,
Aye.
Mr. Volkey,
Nay.
Mr. Persky,
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
6 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative. The motion to take as a block amendment numbers 204 through 248, excluding amendment numbers 206, 207, 208, 210, 211, 220, 221, and 223 through 228 is passed.
Thank you. In light of the fact that Madam Secretary has already read these amendments into the record, may I have a motion to adopt amendments 204 through 248, excluding 206, 207, 208, 210, 211, 220, 221, and 223 through 228.
Lacy, so moved.
May I have a second?
Rodvian, second.
Thank you. Would the administration like to weigh in on these amendments?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chris Trumbauer with the County Exec's Office. We support these amendments. They are all part of our supplemental. Nearly all of them that we have withdrawn are introduced later as revised, I think with the exception of 207. And as I mentioned earlier, the 223 through 228, those all related to dredging projects, and those were withdrawn because of an issue with the state funding. So all the remaining amendments were detailed in the supplemental letter, and if you have any questions about individual amendments, we'd be sure to address them.
Ms. Hare.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have a specific question on Amendment 240. It's the West County Elementary School, which I'm happy to support, but the attachment 1 states that action taken in current fiscal year is none. I don't think that's accurate. I think we're appropriating this money so that design can move forward, correct?
Mr. Trumbauer.
Madam Chair, thank you. Good question, Councilwoman here. Chris Trumbauer at the County Exec's Office. My understanding is that a previous council amendment put the planning and design money for FY21. The amendment before you puts the construction funding in fiscal years 22 through 24.
But don't we need to amend the project status action taken in current year to say design?
I'm sorry, Mr. Trumbauer.
I mean, I don't think so. These amendments have been shared with the auditor's office. I think they're in agreement with them, but if you want us to take another look, we can break for a second and look into that.
Here, District 7, if Madam Auditor is okay with it and everybody agrees, I just caught my eye and it struck me as unusual.
Madam Auditor.
So we have an amendment that passed on the council, and capital is a little bit different because each of the different pieces prior approved capital fiscal year 21, and then the out years are in different sections of the bill. So our first amendment amended the current fiscal year 21 and put the planning in there. This amendment is putting the construction into the out years. That's how the top of the amendment is looking. I can look at the comments section, but this particular amendment is not adding planning, but it is already in there. I can pull up the comments section, but that's what the description section, but that's how the actual amendment to the law works.
Thank you, Madam Auditor. Mr. Volke.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did just want to acknowledge that our legislative counsel has had her flag up and has been waiting patiently. I do have a question, but I just wanted to give her an opportunity.
My apologies. Ms. Schuett?
Thank you, Councilmember Bulkey. I just wanted to clear something up for sure before there's a vote on this, because when Ms. Fiedler was making the motion, I was writing down all of the numbers that she said, and I did not write down 211. So I want to confirm that 211 is one of the excluded amendments.
It has been withdrawn.
211 has been withdrawn?
Yes, ma'am.
It was part of the motion when it was read. Okay, I give up.
As an exclusion. Mr. Volke.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had a question for the administration about Amendment 229. That's the removal from the FY24 budget of the Northeast Area Elementary School in Mountain Road Corridor and pushing that out an additional year. As I understood it, in the county exec's original proposed budget and the Board of Education's proposed budget, this had been pushed from FY21 to FY23 already, so it had already been moved out 3 years. Now this amendment looks like it's moving it another year. I just wanted to clarify that was what was going on here and get some rationale for it.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Mr. Trumbauer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chris Trumeyer with the County Exec's Office. Yes, Councilman Volke, your understanding is correct. What this amendment before you does now is it defers funding exactly as it is proposed, but it moves it back 1 year. The reason was in order to accommodate the construction funding for the West County Elementary School and stay within affordability, we had to make some room for it. So we discussed this with the superintendent's office, Mr. Shaknovich in particular. He agreed that that was the proper way to do it. And because the West County Elementary School is higher on the list of the priority projects, putting that where it is now and then deferring the Northeast area school for 1 year was an appropriate action in our view. But we're still committed to that project. And I will also say that we would look forward to restore the position of the Northeast area elementary school in future years if that becomes possible. And one way that could happen is if the General Assembly does end up overturning the veto for the Build to Learn Act, or there's other state funding that's available in future years to put towards the state school capital projects.
Mr. Volke.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So to follow up, thank you, Mr. Trumbauer, for that explanation. As I understood it from the 2015 MGT study, and I believe from the 2019 Facilities Master Plan for the schools, that actually, I believe this Northeast area school was a little bit higher on the priority list than the West County school at that time. That being said, I did hear from Mr. Shaknovich during the budget presentations that the Board of Education now views the two as having flipped, and the West County Elementary School is a higher priority than the Northeast school. But I did want to confirm that under the 2015 and the 2019 plans, that this school had actually been a higher priority.
Is there someone here to confirm that, or can we move on? I don't have the 2015 MGT study in front of me at this moment. Does anybody else?
I have other questions if no one can confirm it.
Excuse me, Mr. Volke, I didn't hear you.
Sorry, I said I have additional questions. If no one is able to speak to it, we can move on.
Okay, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you. I also wanted to talk about Amendment 232, which appears to basically create a to-be-determined partner on the Millersville Park Tennis Center. So again, this council had a lot of concerns last year about this project, and we tied funding in a particular way to ensure that we weren't just dumping money into a project that may not happen or wasn't going to happen the right way. At this point, as I brought up during the budget presentations, we still don't have a partner on this because the Tennis Alliance has moved out of this project and the county is still looking for somebody. So I just want to understand why the administration is comfortable with this sort of placeholder of a to-be-determined third-party partner on this project, and what you anticipate that partner's role is going to be on this project.
Mr. Trumbauer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this is Chris Trumbauer at the County Exec's Office. This is just a technical budget book page correction. It doesn't have any fiscal impact on the project. And my understanding from Rec and Parks is that the status of the project is still the same. They are looking for a vendor working on an RFP to continue the last update they gave to you during the budget presentations in May. So this is just a technical fix to the budget page is how I understand this.
Mr. Volke, I have been informed that Mr. Shaknovich is in the waiting room. Would you like him to speak to your previous question?
If he feels comfortable, sure.
Can we bring Mr. Shaknovich forward from the school system, please?
Good morning, Madam Chairman and members of the Council. Alex Shaknovich, Chief Operating Officer, for the record, here to address the question recently posed by Councilman Volke. Mr. Volke's recollection is absolutely correct in that the MGT study that was completed in the 2015 timeframe and the CIPs that immediately followed that did in fact have the Northeast Elementary School in that lead pole position. There was an event that allowed an adequate public facility ordinance event that allowed a large project to convert from age restricted to market rate, as well as allowed 3 other large development projects to occur on the western side of 301, south of the Piney Orchard, Wild Chapel, and Four Seasons communities, that created a need for the Board of Education to rapidly reevaluate the successive order of projects. And so the capital budget that was recently adopted and put forward for the administration and the council to consider did in fact take into account that need to readjust the projects. Secondarily, we did have conversations with the administration and understand that the administration and council are obligated to put forward a budget that is within the capital debt affordability guidelines that are established within the county's code and processes. And therefore, we understand the need to make adjustments in the out years to maintain the capital debt affordability. All of that said, as the council and administration well knows, the Board of Education does have a habit of, albeit the council took actions to push out projects, the Board of Education does have a habit of trying to resurrect those projects, and we welcome the opportunity to work with the administration and the council to do so, especially in light of hopefully improved economic conditions and possibly more favorable capital debt affordability levels that would allow everybody the flexibility to either accelerate or bring in new out-year projects. And with that, Madam President, I'll turn it over back to you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I know in District 2, we have seen our projects, our school construction projects, push and push and push and push. So I understand the frustration of my colleague, but hopefully we will see the state and our state delegation work for better funding from the IAC and beyond. Mr. Volke.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Mr. Stegnovich, thank you for coming in and for that clarification. I do appreciate it. So I guess I just want to understand, because I was on a call last night with some leaders in the Marley community, which is a part of the county that both myself and Councilwoman Picard, that we sort of share that area, that Point Pleasant, Marley, over in that community. And that is the community that I think, in addition to the Solly Road corridor, will be served by this new elementary school. That sounds like where the target is for the Board of Education. So with that, I guess my question is, I want to be able to go back to these folks and tell them that they're next on the list. Is that appropriate to say that this is the next elementary school that the county is going to build at this point?
So what I can share, and the administration can certainly vouch, we've been working with the administration now, both the current and the just prior administration, going through a land acquisition exercise. I know the county government has actively been searching for parcels in that Solly and Marley Neck Boulevard area. So a number of parcels have already been examined and either been excluded for technical reasons or because of valuation issues with pricing considerations. But we remain committed to identifying property in partnership with the county that can resolve the longer term capacity issues. As you know, Mr. Volke, we have constructed additions. For example, we just recently are bringing to closure the second addition onto Solly, but both Solly Elementary School, High Point Elementary School, Marley Elementary School are no longer capable of having additional additions put onto those schools. And for that very reason, that is why we are now left needing to look at land acquisition opportunities. And again, the county government, in particular, Department of Public Works arm of the county government right-of-way division, has actively been doing that work. And we have actively been researching, reaching out to owners and vetting different parcels up in that area.
And I appreciate that, Mr. Stegnovich, and I know that this has been an ongoing issue. I know even as far as the last administration, they were having talks with developers about this. I guess where I'm sort of baffled with it, I don't blame you for this because it's not the school system's fault, is, you know, we've got lots and lots of new houses going in up there. People seem to be able to find land to put in houses, but we can't find land to put in a school. So I'm not sure how we can't come to some sort of an agreement with someone who wants to put in some houses up there to get us some land to be able to do a school. And again, that's not your fault, and I'm not blaming you for that. And I do know the county is working on this and has been for years. But I would point out that the West County Elementary School, we acquired the land for that a few months ago, and now we're in the process of putting in design money. Frankly, I think the big problem with this school right now is we don't have the land. As you and I talked about during the budget presentation, there's land over in the Farmington Village community, but that's not really where you're looking for a school right now because the busing issues and the capacity just don't work out there. I guess I'm just trying to have something to go back to this community who is, as you acknowledge, bursting at the seams in terms of new students and limited ability for additional space and things like that, and say to them, hey, in the last 2 years, your project has been pushed off 4 years. So this isn't coming anytime soon. I would like to be able to give something to say, here's what's coming in the future, but I'm just not certain that we're there yet. So I guess I appreciate where the school board is, and I hope that the county administration is in the same place because we need it up there.
Agree wholeheartedly, Mr. Councilman Volke, and I guess I can say that the school district's commitment to resolving the capacity issues can be demonstrated by the additions that we've aggressively put in. Had we had land, had we had ability to stand up a ground-up school, we would not have constructed the second addition on Tasali over the course of the last 12 months. That is money we would have much rather invested into a brand new ground-up construction school. That is not the position we found ourselves in, so we moved out on the addition as a very short-term capacity solution to essentially buy us some time. That's my words. But I have absolutely no doubt that the county administration and the county's Department of Public Works specifically has been diligently making every effort to try to assist in the solution in terms of identifying a viable piece of property there, and I have faith in them doing so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion on these amendments? Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendments 204 through 248, minus 206, 207, 208, 210, 211, 220, 221, 223 through 228.
Ms. Fiedler?
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian?
Aye.
Ms. Hare?
Aye.
Ms. Lacy?
Aye.
Mr. Volke?
Nay.
Mr. Persky?
Aye.
Ms. Pickard?
Aye.
5 in the affirmative, 2 in the negative. Amendment numbers 204 through 248, excluding amendment numbers 206, 207, 208, 210, 211, 220, 221, 223, and 228 are adopted.
Thank you. Madam Auditor?
I think you meant 223 through 228.
I did.
Oh, I meant Joanne, because she said
No.
223 and 228. Okay.
Apologies, 223 through 228 are adopted, or excluding those are adopted.
Thank you. I don't have any further amendments regarding this bill. Are we going to have a balancing amendment, Madam Auditor?
Yes, we will need a balancing amendment. We're going to have to break so that we can balance with the budget office and make sure all of the numbers went the right way based on the votes.
Okay, it is now 11:38. What time would we like to reconvene?
I would say 1:30.
1:30?
Yes.
Okay. We will now take a recess to allow the auditor to check numbers. The council stands in recess until 1:30. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. The June 12th, 2020 meeting of the Anne Arundel County Council is now reconvened. Madam Secretary, please call the roll once more. Madam Secretary, you're muted.
I got it. Thank you. Ms. Fiedler,
Present.
Ms. Rodvian,
Present.
Ms. Hare,
Present.
Ms. Lacy,
Present.
Mr. Volke,
Present.
Mr. Persky,
Still here.
Ms. Picard,
Present.
Madam Auditor,
Present.
Madam Legislative Counsel,
Present.
Madam Chair, all council is present.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. We have a few balancing amendments. Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 249.
Madam Chair, if I may, before doing so, I want to correct the record.
Oh, yes.
Yes, when we took the vote on amendments 204 through 248 with all the exclusions, I misheard Miss Lacy. I understand she voted aye. So the vote was actually 6 in the affirmative, 1 in the negative. The outcome remains the same.
Thank you. Thank you for that correction. Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 249.
Amendment number 249 reduces personal services by $52,000 for temporary pay based on expenditure history. Reduces contractual services by $251,000 for mowing, $25,000, and for operating equipment services, $226,000, based on expenditure history and planned spending in fiscal year 21. Reduces grants, contributions, and other by $200,000 for pay-as-you-go based on the fund's planned spending.
Thank you. May I have a motion to adopt?
Councilman Persky, motion to adopt.
May I have a second?
Rodvian, second.
Madam Auditor, would you like to explain this amendment?
Sure. The only thing changing here is to, it's keeping all of the already approved amendments and it's adding a balancing for the PAYGO so that the operating fund PAYGO appropriation to go to the capital budget matches what the capital budget is saying they're using for PAYGO.
Thank you. Is there any further discussion?
Madam Chair.
Oh, Mr. Trumbauer, excuse me.
No worries, Madam Chair. Chris Trumbauer with the County Exec's Office. We concur.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment 249.
Ms. Fiedler,
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian,
Aye.
Ms. Hare,
Aye.
Ms. Lacy,
Aye.
Mr. Volke,
Aye.
Mr. Persky,
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Amendment number 249 is adopted.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 250.
Increases personal services by $46,600 and supplies and materials by $35,000 for the transfer of a temporary beautification manager position from Central Services to the Chief Administrative Office. Reduces business and travel by $1,500 to remove funding for lodging related to MACO's conferences, and reduces grants, contributions, and other by $2,835,000 to reduce funding held in the contingency fund.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. May I have a motion to adopt?
Councilman Persky, motion to adopt.
May I have a second?
Lacy, so moved, but I want to know where that checkered flag came from because it's a pretty cool upgrade.
Thank you. Madam Auditor, would you like to add anything to this amendment or?
I can just say this, what this is doing is it's keeping everything the same. The only thing it's doing is it's a balancing amendment. It's taking any excess cuts and putting it into the contingency fund.
Thank you. Would the administration like to weigh in on this?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chris Trumbauer at the County Exec's Office. We concur with the auditor's assessment and we support the amendment.
Thank you. Mr. Volke, you had your hand raised?
I did. Thank you, Madam Chair. So I think, Madam Auditor, can I just confirm, it looks like after all the cuts and everything was settled out, that there was about $1.487 million left. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so that's the money that's being moved over to the CAO contingency fund. So it's increasing the balance in that fund. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So the only thing that I would just add is obviously the next amendment coming is what I'd like to see happen with this money as opposed to it going to the contingency fund. But I'll save my comments for getting to that one. But I do just want to make the point that we have the money actually now to potentially max out the rainy day fund. So the discussion on 3720 and whether we should raise the cap or not on the rainy day fund is turned from an academic exercise into a reality. So pleased to see it, but I think that would be a better and smarter use of this money.
Thank you, Mr. Volke. As a sponsor of this amendment, and just to add to previous conversations about the different financial tools with the CAO contingency fund or the rainy day fund, I think the liquidity of the CAO fund in these times, to me, is more helpful. But we can agree to disagree. Would Mr. Beecham, I see you have appeared. Did you have anything to add to this conversation?
No, ma'am, I support this amendment and what you have just stated. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion on amendment number 250? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on amendment number 250.
Ms. Fiedler?
Nay.
Ms. Rodvian?
Aye.
Ms. Hare?
Nay.
Ms. Lacy?
Aye.
Mr. Volke?
Nay.
Mr. Persky?
Aye.
Ms. Pickard?
Aye.
4 in the affirmative, 3 in the negative. Amendment number 250 is adopted.
Madam Secretary, please read amendment number 251.
Amendment number 251 reduces grants, contributions, and other by $1,487,000 to reflect updated general fund pay-as-you-go amount, reduces $145,000 for grant fund contribution, $130,000, to align reimbursing SSTAT services in accordance with state law, and for front foot assessments and tax, $15,000, based on the current assessment bills, and increases contribution to the Revenue Reserve Fund by $1,300,000.
May I have a motion to adopt?
Volke, so moved.
May I have a second?
Fiedler, second.
Thank you. Who would like to lead this discussion today? Mr. Volke?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So like I was alluding to on the last amendment, this turns the amount of money that's left here exercise of
Mr. Volke,
yeah, sorry.
Your audio was garbled. It was hard to understand what you were saying.
Sure, I'll try again. So as I was saying, this turns the discussion from Bill 3720 from an academic argument. There was some said there was no way that in this year. Can you hear
Mr.
me?
Volke, I apologize for interrupting. I'll ask, is it just me or?
No, it's me as well.
Okay, yes. Unfortunately, you start getting very garbled and it's hard to understand.
I'm going to let Ms. Fiedler take it then, because I think she can make the point, or Ms. Hare, either of them.
Ms. Fiedler?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Amanda Fiedler, District 5. I think what my colleague was trying to say is, if everyone remembers, when we looked at the emergency ordinance, Bill 3720, it was an attempt to increase the revenue reserve fund so that if we were able to find any money in this budget to put aside to prepare for what is yet to come in future years, we could do that. It was thought by a majority of the council that that would be absolutely impossible to do, and it was voted down. We now could have done it, but are unable to. So I would still like to see the monies go to the Revenue Reserve Fund, as I believe my other two colleagues would like to see, as they are co-sponsors on the bill, and that is, or the amendment, and that is the intent of the amendment, to move the money to the Revenue Reserve Fund.
Thank you. Would the administration like to weigh in on this amendment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Chris Trumbauer with the County Exec's Office. Putting aside the, I guess, the intent of the amendment for a second, the money that it moves has already been put in the CAO fund. So the way the amendment is written, I don't think there's 1.4 million in the non-departmental category there. So if you guys pass this budget, the budget would be out of balance. But be that as it may, the intent of the amendment to put in the rainy day fund, I mean, the administration appreciates that. I guess the issue is we want to have a healthy balance in the CAO contingency fund so that we can respond to any unanticipated needs throughout the year. If we go much lower, we're going to have potentially have an issue. The other thing that I just want to be clear, the way the sponsors outline this amendment, I think that they said that it would take the Revenue Reserve Fund to the max, but I believe that we have more room to go to the max, that even if this amendment passed, there'd still be another 1.5 or 1.6 to go up to the max, but I may have been misunderstanding the way they characterized it.
Ms. Hare.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jessica Hare, District 7. I just wanted to respond to Mr. Trumbauer. I believe, at least as I understand it, that the investment interest in is created from the Revenue Reserve Fund, plus 1.3 maxes it out. So we actually couldn't put any more than 1 in there. In fact, balancing amendment, the 1.487 would actually put us over the limit. So that raising the ceiling on the Revenue Reserve Fund, we couldn't put all of the money in there. So that at least is my understanding from talking with Madam Auditor.
Madam Auditor.
So the Revenue Reserve Fund, their balance, they're showing a contribution. They're also showing expected investment income. So if you put in more and the rainy day fund earns investment income, it couldn't stay there. It would have to go back to the general fund. So it's actually 1.333,333 dollars if you take out that investment income between what the max is and what the and what it is per the proposed budget with the investment income. That makes sense.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment 251? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Amendment 251.
Ms. Fiedler?
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian?
Nay.
Ms. Hare?
Aye.
Ms. Lacy?
Nay.
Mr. Volkey?
Aye.
Mr. Persky?
Nay.
Ms. Pickard?
Nay.
3 in the affirmative, 4 in the negative. Amendment number 251 is defeated.
Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 26-20 as amended.
Bill number 2620, an ordinance concerning annual budget and appropriation ordinance of Anne Arundel County.
Is there any final discussion on Bill 26-20 at this time? Ms. Hare?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd just like to explain my vote before we take a final vote on this bill. I'll start by saying I think there's very little in life that's either all good or all bad, and I would say that the same is true of this budget. If we start with sort of an initial glance, there are a lot of good things in it. For District 7 specifically, I can start with Crofton High School and the final puzzle pieces there. I was very excited to see that. I'm looking forward to that school opening and welcoming students to it. Farther down south in the county, the Deal Park. That was a project that was brought to us by the community. And I was very excited to work across the aisle with the county executive. I'm excited to see that in this budget, to see the design money. I know the community is excited about it also. I'm also excited to see that we're moving the needle on the problems we've seen on Route 214 down the Mayo Peninsula. It's a capital project I was very excited to see. I'm excited to see the body cameras that came in the supplemental. So there's a lot of good things here, but I will say that as the council, we're tasked with not only looking at the micro level for our own individual districts, but we have to look at the big picture, the macro level. And we can't do that in a vacuum. We have to do it in the context of the circumstances that surround us. So in this case, that would include the unemployment in our county right now and the 63,000 plus people who currently are not receiving a paycheck. That also includes looking at last year's budget and how that affects this year. So if we talk about that for just a second, the revenue projections from last year's budget obviously missed this year. And while no one could have predicted the coronavirus, I think the underlying issue that I see with it is that last year we used sort of best case scenario projections. The optimism in what the revenue was going to be was not accurate. And unfortunately, I think we're doing the same thing this year. Even if we take the administration's projections and they're accurate, this budget still produces a 24 million or so structural deficit. And that's best case scenario. I'm concerned that if the revenue projections are flat or even negative, if that's how they turn out to be, we're going to miss by much bigger than that. And that puts us in a very difficult position next year. So the cumulative impact, I would say, of last year's spending far in excess of personal income growth and far in excess of the recommendations by the Spending Affordability Committee and the Auditor, coupled with this year's structural deficit, leaves me in a position where I cannot reconcile the two. I can't reconcile this budget with our future obligations. And as a result of that, while there are a number of good things in this budget, I can't support it as a whole package.
Thank you. Ms. Fiedler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I too want to echo my colleagues' comments and just say, one of the commitments that I made to the residents of my district was to be and is to be fiscally conservative and fiscally responsible. No one could have predicted a year ago that we'd be in the midst of a global pandemic and economic crisis during the fiscal year 2021 budget process. But here we are. There are times when difficult decisions need to be made, and I believe we are there. Just 2 days ago, the Federal Reserve released statements and projections indicating an economic recovery through 2022. In the statement, members of the Federal Open Market Committee said that the ongoing public health crisis will weigh heavily on economic activity, employment, and inflation. The federal interest rate is actually going to be held at near 0%. The state level, the outlook for the next 2 years is very similar. Predictions for revenue loss from income tax and sales tax in fiscal year 2021 range from $2 to $2.6 billion. And in fiscal year 2022, the loss in revenue is even grimmer, with a projected loss of revenue ranging from $2.5 billion to $3.9 billion. Some may argue that the county recordation and transfer tax, which is revenue from real estate sales, came in over projection in April, and we should be more optimistic. I caution anyone who uses this as an indicator of our revenue for fiscal year 21. This revenue stream makes up only 6% of our budget, and income tax makes up a much larger 34% portion. I had hoped with this budget that my colleagues and I could work together for a fiscally responsible budget in the middle of a global pandemic and economic crisis. Through hours of digging into every nook and cranny of the budget, millions of dollars of spending reductions were identified that would have given this council the ability to add a body camera program to our police department, fund the school system budget that the county executive proposed, and allow us to prepare for the fiscal uncertainty of a global pandemic and economic crisis. Unfortunately, all but one of those amendments to reduce spending failed. Instead, the budget now increases spending over the county executive's proposal during a global pandemic and economic crisis. The budget funds $1,500 in bonuses to employees, while over 63,000 county residents have lost jobs or paychecks during a global pandemic and economic crisis. While there are many things in this budget I do support, like the Cape St. Clair Fire Station and the completion of the Broadneck Trail and the body cameras, as my colleague mentioned, and I've mentioned a few times, the unnecessary spending, especially during this unprecedented time, is not fiscally responsible. Unfortunately, for those reasons, I will not be voting in favor of this budget today. That is all.
Mr. Volkey.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll try to speak slowly in the hopes that my audio does not garble. Not working.
Not good.
Okay. Well, I just want to echo the sentiments of Councilwoman Fiedler and Councilwoman Hare. Thank you for laying that out. I think we can call this budget whatever we want. I know that certain people in the administration have been calling it fiscally responsible. We don't agree with that. And for that reason, I'll be voting against it. But I appreciate the work that everyone's put in.
Is there any further discussion on Bill 2620 at this time? Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Bill number 2620, 26-20 as amended.
Ms. Fiedler,
Nay.
Ms. Rodvian,
Aye.
Ms. Hare,
Nay.
Ms. Lacy,
Aye.
Mr. Volkey,
Nay.
Mr. Persky,
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
4 in the affirmative, 3 in the negative. Bill number 2620 as amended is passed.
Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 2720 as amended.
Bill number 2720, an ordinance concerning tax levies, special community benefit districts, shore erosion control districts, and waterways improvement districts.
Is there any discussion on Bill 27-20? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Bill number 27-20 as amended.
Ms. Fiedler,
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian,
Aye.
Ms. Hare,
Aye.
Ms. Lacy,
Aye.
Mr. Volkey,
Aye.
Mr. Persky,
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Bill number 2720 as amended is passed.
Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 28-20.
Bill number 2820, an ordinance concerning tax levies, Arundel Gateway Special Taxing District.
Is there any final discussion? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Bill number 28-20.
Ms. Fiedler,
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian,
Aye.
Ms. Hare,
Aye.
Ms. Lacy,
Aye.
Mr. Volkey,
Aye.
Mr. Persky,
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Bill number 2820 is passed.
Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 29-20.
Bill number 2920, an ordinance concerning tax levies, Arundel Mills Special Taxing District.
Is there any final discussion? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Bill number 29-20.
Ms. Fiedler,
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian,
Aye.
Ms. Hare,
Aye.
Ms. Lacy,
Aye.
Mr. Volkey,
Aye.
Mr. Persky,
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Bill number 2920 is passed.
Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 30-20.
Bill number 3020, an ordinance concerning tax levies, Dorchester Special Taxing District.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Bill number 30-20.
Ms. Fiedler,
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian,
Aye.
Ms. Hare,
Aye.
Ms. Lacy,
Aye.
Mr. Volkey,
Aye.
Mr. Persky,
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Bill number 3020 is passed.
Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 31-20.
Bill number 3120, an ordinance concerning tax levies, Farmington Village Special Taxing District.
Any final discussion? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Bill number 31-20.
Ms. Fiedler,
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian,
Aye.
Ms. Hare,
Aye.
Ms. Lacy,
Aye.
Mr. Volkey,
Aye.
Mr. Persky,
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Bill number 3120 is passed.
Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 32-20.
Bill number 3220, an ordinance concerning tax levies, National Business Park Special Taxing District.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Bill number 32-20.
Ms. Fiedler,
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian,
Aye.
Ms. Hare,
Aye.
Ms. Lacy,
Aye.
Mr. Volkey,
Aye.
Mr. Persky,
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Bill number 3320 is passed. I'm sorry, Bill number 3220.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, please read the title.
My apologies, Madam Chair.
No problem. Please read the title of Bill number 33-20.
Bill number 33-20, an ordinance concerning tax levies, National Business Park North Special Taxing District.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Bill number 33-20.
Ms. Fiedler,
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian,
Aye.
Ms. Hare,
Aye.
Ms. Lacy,
Aye.
Mr. Volkey,
Aye.
Mr. Persky,
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Bill number 3320 is passed.
Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Bill number 34-20.
I will read the title.
Oh, I'm sorry, please read the title.
Sorry. Bill number 3420, an ordinance concerning tax levies, Two Rivers Special Taxing District.
Any discussion? No. Now, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Bill number 34-20.
Ms. Fiedler,
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian,
Aye.
Ms. Hare,
Aye.
Ms. Lacy,
Aye.
Mr. Volkey,
Aye.
Mr. Persky,
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Bill number 3420 is passed.
Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 35-20.
Bill number 3520, an ordinance concerning tax levies, Village South at Waugh Chapel Special Taxing District.
Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on Bill number 35-20.
Ms. Fiedler,
Aye.
Ms. Rodvian,
Aye.
Ms. Hare,
Aye.
Ms. Lacy,
Aye.
Mr. Volkey,
Aye.
Mr. Persky,
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
7 in the affirmative, none in the negative. Bill number 3520 is passed.
Madam Secretary, please read the title of Bill number 36-20.
Bill number 3620, an ordinance concerning property tax and semi-annual payment service charge.
Is there any final discussion? Seeing none, Madam Secretary, please call the roll on bill number 36-20.
Ms. Fiedler,
Nay.
Ms. Rodvian,
Aye.
Ms. Hare,
Nay.
Ms. Lacy,
Aye.
Mr. Volkey,
Nay.
Mr. Persky,
Aye.
Ms. Pickard.
Aye.
4 in the affirmative, 3 in the negative. Bill number 3620 is passed.
Thank you, Madam Secretary. Are there any further comments by the council at this time? Seeing none, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the Auditor's Office, Madam Auditor and her staff, the Budget Office, and Mr. Beecham's staff. It's been a challenging budget this year, and there's been a lot of hard work over the last 45 days, and the council appreciates your support. Just wanted to make sure y'all knew that we did appreciate you. Is there any other business to be brought before the County Council at this time? Oh, excuse me, Ms. Rodvian.
Thank you. Councilwoman Rodvian, District 6, I just wanted to add thank you to our wonderful staff who has worked their tails off in very unusual circumstances. I think no matter how you voted on this, we know they've just gone above and beyond for several months now and intensely for the last 6 weeks. So thank you so much, and we hope you get some well-deserved rest very soon.
Well said, Councilwoman Rodvian. Is there any other business to be brought before the County Council at this time? Mr. Persky.
A motion to adjourn, Madam Chair.
May I have a second?
Lacy, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. It's been a great day. It's been a very long week. The County Council is adjourned until 7 p.m. on Monday, June 15th, 2020. Have a great weekend and stay well.